mothers to gently go over, take the hand of the little girl, and say, "Oh, come play with my little girls." Because it wasn't the place of the black girl's mommy to do this. It would have been too much of an intrusion. It was so heart-wrenching that I became sad for all mankind, because there's this sense of separation and exclusion that starts when you're little tots. And I just, So that made me do a lot of digging this morning, and realized it made me dig more clearly into these eclipses, which have been happening. And it's what's happening is the magnetic field of the earth is being altered. So those of you who are ready to jump out of your skin, it's as much that as the magnetic field is just being altered. And so there are gatekeepers, Sydney, like yourself, like myself, like any one of us who is releasing the density consistently to the best of our ability. Because by our releasing the density, we are actually anchoring frequencies that are coming from star portals. And that's huge, but it's uncomfortable.
Right.
And then, aside from the gatekeepers, there are some what's called stabilizers. And they're anchoring the energy. They're anchoring a sense of balance. So they're, come hell or high water, they're not swayed by what I saw last night or the little conflict that you had. You see, you and I are still being swayed. So the best we can do is help anchor the frequencies coming in from elsewhere. Because until we can be so stable, we can't be that model of balance. But that's what I choose. I embrace that for myself. So it's all about, what do you want to embrace? So now also this Piscean stuff, it's a yin energy. Pisces is yin, very water-like. It is the water, one of the water signs. But in this, we have to navigate a very intense, fiery wave in the midst of it. So this fiery wave is the eternal dance, eternal, capital golden letters, eternal dance of letting go. Whether it be your stuff, Sydney, or anything, almost anything and everything. If you're able to think it, I would tell you, let it go. And then new horizons will happen. And I think as I keep embracing this eternal dance of letting go, I'm getting more adept at the new horizons sweeping over me. I barely have to embrace them. They simply sweep in.
Yeah. I had a morning where I committed to two things that have to do with going forward and releasing the past, and sort of woke up, hit the ground running like I hadn't even planned such a thing. So there's really, I guess, the support by the universe to even do that. You know, things like you're giving people this awareness, like reiterating, like, this is really important. You have to keep going with the flow, really, on a very profound level. Like, if you feel like you need to move, or God forbid for me, but, you know, whatever, you need to respond to crazy things.
Well, you know, I will share with you and everyone who's listening, what you say is absolutely true, and it is not always everyone's comfort level. We're on Tuesday, 10 days ago from today, as I was driving up to the studio for a different taping, so it was like a week ago Friday. I'm driving along, minding my own business, and I'm thinking of my storage unit where I'm like, I got to get that stuff out. I want to get that stuff out. I want to use it. I want to get rid of it. I don't want to keep paying for it. And all of a sudden, this idea shoots forth, and I'm announcing out loud in the car, well, that is just brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, then. Well, the brilliance now within this window, talk about, okay, I'm up for it. By 2 days from that, so on Sunday, as the gods would have it, my entire living room was given away. A whole new energy field entered same day. Now, I didn't even go shopping for this stuff. 2 days later, I have signed a lease on a studio. And so everything, I was not anticipating any of this.
Right.
This is the fiery wave. This is the eternal dance. And those of you who have ever been into my living room, as it's been in the past few years, I was kind of hesitant to let it go. I have a strong soul connection to Northern California, and that furniture had come from Northern California. Done. Check. Gone.
I get it.
And so, and what it's done, the minute that happened, again, I wasn't anticipating a new horizon. I wasn't looking for one. A new horizon. A studio? Hello?
Yep. Oh, you? No.
Yeah, it's like, wow. So it's a case of the great doer inside of me is living, and it's living delightfully. Now, as I read today, it's too bad you don't do this sometimes in foresight, but in hindsight, it speaks of the last time the 2 years for the Piscean and Virgo energy eclipses, because it's like a 2-year window. It was 18 years ago. 18 years ago, almost to the month, I opened the Purple Pear on Franklin Avenue.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And so I can see the spiral of energy just helping me heal things, bringing many revelations. And this place, because of the number that this next place has, its design is to bring for people truth above illusion. And that's the service, bringing truth.
I booked I booked a trip to Paris, and I booked to go to New Hampshire to do some karmic release through a shamanic guy. Like, I was trying to come to Florida, and I wound up going to New Hampshire and booking a
Well, because we think
Paris.
we try, and the plan laughs. That's all that's about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty profound. And yeah, the Paris thing, I was in an apartment building in New York, and I walked through the lobby, and I heard a woman say to the front desk guy, I'm going to Paris next month. I'm going to Paris in June, and it's only $500 round trip. And I said, where? You know, who? And she said, United. So I looked it up, and indeed you could do that. But then I thought, well, I have air miles. So my round trip ticket nonstop to Paris for 6 days is $106.
Okay. And so at what cycle are you going, Sydney?
May 30th to June.
Okay, because that's still going to be riding the waves of this eclipse that just happened. It actually will be. And you, whatever Paris holds for you, or wherever we're called, you know, I'm called to let go of furniture and have a studio. It's all about dissolving ourselves.
Right.
And trusting that the source of love, which is our internal source, orchestrated it. You did not book a trip to Paris. I got news for you. I did not sign a lease for any studio. It did.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
Totally.
the great it
the
did
timing,
it.
The great it. It's New York City. I'm randomly walking in a specific place. And to hear that bit of information, and that's my airline, and that's where my air miles are.
Yeah.
And she said June. So I was like, okay, that's the guidance.
Okay.
I need to go in June? Fine. I'm going to look and do my best looking at the literature and book it.
And so it would be interesting to kind of play around with the idea at times, and then as quickly as you play around with it, let it go. Because I don't want you to become like obsessed and fixated on, that idea. But the idea I'm going to sort of throw forth is what else could be dissolved in Paris? It's because if it's all about dissolving, and remember, if you take the DIS off of dissolving, you have solving.
Yeah, something past life certainly keeps calling me there, and I, like you, have this notion of really being very pared down by the time I go. So whether that means I'm staying or what that means, I don't know. But I'm going to try and be a good steward to actually do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, we both know from a practical point of view, just call in honorably as much funding as you can for it, So you just need lots of clients, and it's so that you have money socked away and feel really comfortable about it.
Right. Oh, yeah. The ticket's under $110 round trip. But, then the next thing is, where am I supposed to divinely stay and do while I'm there? What's the next thing to
Well,
solve?
not only there, but you need, wherever you are, you need to pay rent, you need to have food, you need, Yeah, that's okay. So here we are, dissolving. That's it.
Yep, very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So great to have language to it, and to pay attention to let go of the fear and go with the flow. That's really helpful to not get caught in that.
Well, especially when you really take into account that fear is going to be the biggest obstacle for people all year. They're going to get trapped in it if they're behaving like human beings and thinking like a human being. And
well, it's so great, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been jumping out of my skin a little, and so now I know that's not necessarily just me. That's the thing that's happening.
Yeah,
and
one
so
is in the middle, and it seems to me you are an East Group kid. I think your son. One's in the middle.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm quite sure you are.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one's in the middle, kid, and that's one of your lucky zones. So it's like, sloshing around a bit. But I'm telling you, from what I see, I don't care now whether the person's East Group or West Group. And what I'm referring to for you listeners, East Group and West Group, I've changed horses here and jumped into a little bit of feng shui. So as the weeks go on and you want to know, are you an East Group or a West Group, you'll call in and ask, because otherwise you won't know. But it's still this one star is connected. It's just water. And water goes up and down, and that's your emotions. And basically it's fear. And so kidneys get hurt. Lots of stuff gets hurt. And it's funny, because of this resonance information from the galactic field, the other thing that happened yesterday was a dear friend called in, and in 2016, she had been pretty darn sick with bronchitis. So we kind of compared notes as our sickness evolved. And yesterday she called in and she was very, very afraid it was going to come back. Do you know, unfortunately, a few hours after I talked to her, I began wondering, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling well. Am I getting sick?
Oh.
By resonance, I picked up her stuff.
Yeah.
We don't need anybody else's stuff. We've got our own stuff.
Right.
And why she wasn't feeling right is she projected into the future, and there isn't any future. There's only now. So in that now, she was creating the seeds of sickness for the next now moment.
Oh.
Oh. Mm-hmm.